Hello, friends and family of the internet. Welcome back, everybody, to Sorky Farmstead. So, my name is Samantha. I'm the owner operator of a 2 acre farmstead, and boy, do I have a video for you guys today. So, I'm going to break down for you guys what was found in the lawsuit that the French president and the First Lady of France filed against Candace Owens. Folks, please understand when I tell you that it looks like Candace is screwed. And I'm going to show you why. I'm not saying, but I'm going to show you why. But let me make these 2 points right off the bat. 2 things are fixing to happen. One, Candace Owens is going to make a full and utter retraction of what she said about Brigitte Macron. She's going to retract it. And I'm going to tell you why. But Candace Owens is going to retract what she said about the French president and the First Lady. Second thing that's going to happen, they're going to win a defamation lawsuit against her for around $20 million. And in this video, I'm going to tell you how I know that, who brought the lawsuit against her, who the legal team is that brought the lawsuit against her, and how to prove defamation. So good morning, everybody. Just so you know a little bit about me, I was an educator. I have a master's, dual certified, with a bunch of certifications in education of a minor in science, a general studies degree for a bachelor's. I am a homesteader. I am now a published author, and I am what they call a micro influencer because I have less than 500,000 subscribers. So do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, drop over in comments, tell me who you are, and hit that like button. What a lot of people do not understand about what's going on with Candace Owens is she created this with her mouth. There is a direct quote of Candace Owens saying, "I would bet my entire career that this is true," right? Like, I'm willing to put it all on the table when I tell you this is fact about Brigitte Macron. I'm gonna bet it all right here. And now she has. See, that is the power of the mouth. Yeah. That's why I tell you guys, be really careful what you speak. Really careful. Because you will create with your mouth situations you have to then back up with your butt later in life. And unfortunately for Candace Owens, she's worth about $6 million herself. Her and her companies are worth about $6 million in cash that I could find as of this morning. This lawsuit is going to run her about $20 million, and they're going to win it. And I'm going to tell you why. First off, this lawsuit was filed in Delaware because that is where Candace Owens' businesses are registered. That is where she set up the entities that are being sued by the French president and the First Lady. So you have to understand that. She may live somewhere else. I think it's like Tennessee. But the companies that she registered, the LLCs, the businesses, those are found in Delaware. And when I was researching this, and please correct me if you know what I'm fixing to say is not 100%, because I wasn't able to say this is fact. What I have found is that in Delaware, there is no cap on how much money you can win in a defamation case. In other words, like when you saw the Johnny Depp defamation case, there was a cap. So even though he won like 15 million or 12 million, she only had to pay like 10.8 million because that was the cap set by that state. Now, from what I'm understanding is that there's no cap in Delaware. Now, that one guy in Secret Watcher, it doesn't really matter what you think. Let me tell you how easy it is for them to beat her in court. And that's what this video is about. All Brigitte Macron has to do is go into court with her biological children and do DNA swabs. That's it. If she DNA swabs in that Delaware courtroom, her and her children, and there's a biological match for maternal blood link. Yep, it's that easy. It's that easy. And let me tell you who the macrons hired. Oh my God. You guys, don't look. Put your personal opinion of Candace Owens aside. Put your everything aside. What she's told you, whatever, and just listen to what I'm telling you from the legal aspect. This is why she's going to lose. Now listen to me. The macrons hired a global attorney by the name of Clary Locke, LLP. These attorneys are legitimately, from what I could dig up on them, the best in the world. Okay? So as part of the lawsuit, the macrons have requested that Candace have to pay for their attorneys the filing, because they had to file from France into Delaware. So that was probably $15,000 or $20,000 to file the lawsuit. So the attorneys alone, the filing fees alone, will probably run about $5 million. Good morning, Leslie. So understand this, folks. I'm not debating whether or not Brigitte Macron is male or female. That's not what this video is. I'm fixing to show you how Candace Owens used her own mouth to destroy an empire. How are they going to win is what I'm fixing to show you. Now, if you've not taken the time, if you've just listened to commentators and you have not taken the time to go research the lawsuit that has been put against Candace Owens, well, I'm going to link that in description at the end of this video. And you should go read it because it is 219 pages. Nikki, honey, we're not debating if it's true or not. I'm telling you, two things are going to happen. Candace Owens is going to write a retraction. She is going to tell you it was never true. The second thing that's going to happen is she's going to lose around $20 million. It's not a personal thing. It's a factual thing. The lawsuit starts, all right, with all the quotes that Candace Owens made during her 8-part series on Brigitte Macron, okay? They quote her because in defamation, you are debating what someone has spoken out of their mouths, all right? So Candace on video and in print on several social media platforms has repeated the same statement that Brigitte Macron is a transgender. And on top of that, Candace Owens has also said Brigitte Macron is either the president's father or grandfather. So it's an incest, right? That is what she has said. And then she brought what she called proof to show everybody. No, Nikki, they're trying to say that Brigitte, you need to finish watching that then. So let me tell you, in the beginning of this lawsuit, which was filed July 23rd, 2025 at 8:30 a.m., the case number is N25C-07-194CLS. In the Superior Court of the State of Delaware, Emmanuel Macron and Brigitte Macron are the plaintiffs versus Candace Owens, Candace Owens LLC, and George Tom Inc. First off, most of you probably skipped over that and paid no attention. You got to learn to read, folks. They are suing Candace Owens, the person, personally. They are suing Candace Owens, the LLC, which are her YouTube and her Patreon and her X and all of that. Then they are suing George Tom Inc., the corporation. All three are named as defendants in this case. That is called closing all the gates. Because see, a lot of people, when you open up an LLC, the purpose of a limited liability corporation is to limit people being able to sue you personally. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, if you are an LLC, then and somebody's driving a company truck and they wreck that truck, the person that was injured can sue the company, but they can't sue you. So Candace Owens has an LLC under her own name, but the Macrons went further. They said, we're not just going to sue your LLC, we're going to sue you, the person. Now, again, let me make this clear for those who can't separate what I'm talking about from their feelings. I am not discussing whether or not what Candace Owens said was true or not true. And I am not discussing really Candace Owens at all. I am telling you what is fixing to happen because I know how to research. So it doesn't matter how I feel about Macron or any of the other stuff. I'm telling you what's fixing to happen in a court of law and how Candace Owens really messed up. She screwed herself with her own mouth. In this filing, they specifically demand a jury trial. Okay, that's going to take it to a whole nother level, friends and family of the internet. When you have a jury trial, a couple of things happen. One is that you have a chance to have multiple people review your evidence of defamation. So if Brigitte Macron does what I think the Macrons are going to do, and she walks into that courtroom with her children or her brother, that remember, like the whole thing was Brigitte became her brother, and then somehow the brother ended up being like Macron's grandfather. I don't know. I didn't really watch it. I stayed away from it. But all of that is in this lawsuit. All the twists and turns. So if she goes in there and does a DNA test with her biological brother, that's going to prove that she, Brigitte, did not become her brother or was the brother and then became her. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it's very easy. And these attorneys that they hired, folks, these are the best in the world. The best in the world. They're not going to walk in there and you said, I said. They're going to walk in there with physical hard evidence, and they're going to address each and every one of these defamations that they're claiming that Candace Owens said about them. And it's like 200 of them. They're going to address each and every one of them in front of a judge and a jury. And then the judge and the jury are going to weigh the evidence. And if one of these counts that they brought forward is found to be untrue and really is defamation, she will lose. That's what I'm telling you. There's over 100 specific things that they're saying that Candace Owens defamed them over. If one of those things is actually correct that Candace did defame these people, that what she said was not true, and she claimed it was fact, she's going to lose. They already proved that, Nikki. So Nikki said, well, what only if it's malice? You really have to go to each state and you have to read what each state claims defamation looks like. And Delaware's pretty broad. And just so you guys know, because I can tell by looking at the comments, most of you have not even bothered to look at the lawsuit. They're going to prove she did it with malice because of things that she said a year or two before she began this series. Her obvious dislike of the macrons, her obvious opinions of them that she shared very publicly would be all the grounds that a good attorney needed to be able to say, you didn't like them. You maliciously went after these people because of a personal vendetta. So again, let me make this very clear because I know some people are really struggling with this concept. I have the ability to take Candace Owens out of the picture, my feelings for Candace out of the picture, and look at the lawsuit as its own thing. Now, if you can't do that, that shows a couple of things. It shows your inability to separate, right? You need to be able to separate, folks, your feelings from facts. The fact is, this lawsuit is good. It's not just good. They watched thousands of hours of Candace Owens doing this about the macrons, and they directly quoted her over and over and over again, and then filed their proof beneath what she said was the truth. So they said, I'll read you an example because a lot of people are not going to understand. It says, let me go to page. Let me get past parties and non-parties. Jurisdiction. Let me skip that. All right. Factual allegations. This is on page 9 of the lawsuit. 21. President Macron was born on December 21st, 1977 in France. Then they talk about his parents. From an early age, he demonstrated intellectual curiosity and emotional sensitivity. It goes all the way down to Mrs. Macron was born Brigitte Troineau, a woman, on April 13th, 1953. Then they post their own photos of Brigitte with her family as a baby, and then when she got married to her first husband. It goes on, y'all, it's in depth. And I'm not really going to jump feet first into this. What I want you to understand is what's fixing to happen. Again, let me repeat it for you. 2 things are going to happen in the next probably 18 months. They're going to force, she's going to lose on at least one of these counts. And when she does, they're going to tell her she's got to make a retraction, take back what you said. And she will, because they're going to sue her for $20 million and they're going to win it, or at least some of it, most of it. Because if they prove one thing in here that Candace Owens says or said that is not true, then she's going to be on the hook for their attorneys, the court cost, and the filing fees, which is going to be in the millions by itself. Now, something I watched her when she first got told that she had a lawsuit. And instead of being like, we're going to set this aside, we're not going to discuss this anymore. I have an upcoming lawsuit. So I'm going to put my energy to making sure all my ducks are in a row. She doubled down on what she claimed was the truth. She even went as far as to bring up the first lawsuit that the Macrons put against people in Paris. And she said they lost that lawsuit. They didn't. They won those defamation lawsuits in France. The 2 journalists were ordered to pay money, And then the court like overturned it, and now the macrons are appealing it. So it's going through the court system. But they have already won one defamation case against both of the people that Candace uses for her information. So that tells me that some of the information that was given to Candace that the first reporters and independent journalists used may have been faulty, because they lost in France, which means if they bring that information over here and show it to an American jury, there's a good chance the American jury is going to rule the same way the French jury did. So you've got to look at what's going on. Now, the wording in the brief is pretty harsh, because it says that, let me find it for you guys. Page 15. It says, this is point 40. In September of 2024, a French court held that Rey and Roy defamed Mrs. Macron for spreading false rumors that Mrs. Macron was born Jean-Michel Truanot and later stole the identity of Brigitte Truanot. The defamation suit confirmed that Rey's and Roy's claims that all documents related to Mrs. Macron's birth, marriage, divorce, and childbearing were forged to conceal her actual sex were false. Jean-Michel participated in the trial. So the person that they're trying to say that Brigitte Macron is, that actual physical person came in person and was part of the French trial. Let that sink in. Rey and Roy were fined 500 euros in order to pay 8,000 euros to Mrs. Macron and 5,000 euros to her brother in civil damages. After multiple victories against Rey and Roy at home in France, the Macrons thought these false claims had been put to bed. But it is discussed below, Owens turned this flame into a fire. Owens is a far-right conspiracy theorist who thrives on making outrageous claims, prioritizing shock value and follower growth over truth or responsible discourse. Now, this is in the actual legal lawsuit that was filed against Candace Owens. It goes on to say that 42, Owens did not always espouse extreme right-wing ideals. She was born in White Plains, New York, and raised in Stamford, Connecticut. Owens graduated from Stanford High School in 2007 and attended the University of Rhode Island before leaving due to financial issues. Following her departure from university, Owens completed an internship at Vogue magazine and was later hired as an administrative assistant at a private equity firm in New York. In 2015, she left the financial sector to start a marketing agency called Degree 180. Now, again, these are not my personal views. I am reading from the lawsuit against Candace Owens. Degree 180's website featured a blog that gained notoriety for publishing progressive, anti-conservative, and anti-Trump content, the exact opposite of her current views. 44. That all changed in 2016 when Owens launched socialautopsy.com, a website that aimed to expose individuals responsible for online harassment by publishing their identities. The project was widely condemned across the political spectrum, with both conservative and progressive voices expressing concerns over privacy and potential misuse. In retaliation, critics shared Owens' personal information online. Owens attributed the widespread criticism and retaliation efforts to two progressives who had attempted to convince Owens to abandon the project. While Owens was being criticized by those who purportedly shared her beliefs, she received support from prominent figures associated with the far right. Owens has publicly stated that this was the catalyst for her ideological shift, remarking, "I became conservative overnight." In the late 2016, she began expressing support for Donald Trump's presidential run. Now it continues all the way down 45, 46, 47, 48, 49. In 2021, Owens joined the Daily Wire, where she hosted her talk show Candace Owens until her departure in 2024. Owens left the Daily Wire in March 2024 following public clashes with the co-founder Ben Shapiro over her increasingly anti-Semitic rhetoric. In the wake of the October 7th Hamas attacks on Israel, Owens voiced strong pro-Palestinian, anti-Israel sentiments. Her commentary escalated from political criticism to overt anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. Now, it goes on to say that she began talking about Jewish gangs in Hollywood and blood libel. Now, I have a quick video for you. Again, please let me say this because people have such a hard time understanding this. This is not a smear campaign against Candace Owens. This is me breaking down the lawsuit against Candace. I am reading factual lawsuits that have been filed against Candace Owens, the person, Candace Owens, the LLC, and her other business. Okay? So let's keep that in mind.
Boy, my head is shiny today. I got extra grease on. I got shea, natural shea butter. Shout out to the shea butter users out there. All right.
It's incredible, if you read through this, guys, that Brigitte actually and intentionally defames me throughout the fight.
I'm sorry. I thought I could make it through this damn thing. This is why I say narcissism, the gaslighting, the project. You actually defame me. I'm suing you.
Okay. Says all of these things that are untrue. Here are just a few of the things that she says about me. Long debunked anti-Semitic tropes, such as a blood libel. Catholics and Christians were going missing on Passover, and then they would find bodies, across Europe, and they were able to trace them back to Jews. And
I'm sorry. I said I was going to let it play out. I lied. I defamed myself. I lied on myself. When you have this much evidence against yourself, you have a president of a Western nation who has the best lawyers of his land and probably globally putting these sorts of cases together. They have looked at, read, watched everything. This is probably why, let me go ahead and breathe that a little bit. This is probably why they didn't respond right away. Candace, please wake up. Well, it's probably, again, if you are genuinely narcissistic, then it's impossible. You can't see beyond your own belly button. They have been building a case on you, Candace.
Yep.
They have been taking word by word. That's why in that little first opening paragraph of the suit, you saw quotes everywhere. They're using her exact words because they understand that that's what makes a case. Defamation is a case of words. It's a case of things that have been said.
Yep.
Slander, per se. Lies, and oftentimes dangerous lies. Now they brought in the Jew haters. Oh, you're cooked. You're cooked. I didn't even know they're going to take it there. You're cooked.
Holocaust distortion. Elie Wiesel, he fictionalized stories in his book Night, and they were able to trace them back to Jews. And Holocaust distortion. Elie Wiesel, the fictionalized stories in his book Night. With him, they're establishing educational books related to the Holocaust, going so far as of Joseph Mengelé's medical experiments as mere propaganda. The Nazis experimented on innocent people. That just sounds like bizarre propaganda. None of that is true. None of that is true.
Shout out to Milk Bar TV for.
So what happened was she got on her channel and she started telling people that they're lying about me. And then somebody went and pulled up clips of things that she had said about blood libel and how these experiments never happened on the Jews. All of it was made up. And she's cooked. Let me tell you something. This lawsuit, again, folks, because this is not a personal, it's nothing personal. Folks, God help us. If we are in 2025 and as an adult, you can't sit your butt down and listen to somebody read to you 219 pages of a lawsuit against Candace Owens without you acting like you're in a flipping cult. If you are so devoid of wisdom and you worship a human and every word that they say and you cannot think for yourself, go on, hop off. Because this channel, I come with receipts. I don't do facts. I don't do feelings. I don't care about your feelings. I personally do not care if you like Candace Owens or you hate her. That's your opinion. I don't care if you think she's innocent or she's guilty. I don't care if you think Brigitte Macron is male or female. What I am going to tell you is that two things are going to happen. Candace Owens is going to make a retraction about her 8-part series. The second thing that's going to happen is she's going to pay about $20 million for that little stunt. Now, if you can't understand that, if your brain isn't big enough to hold both your feelings for somebody and a lawsuit in the same space, then you need to start doing brain exercises because you have the brain of a child. Yeah, you heard me say it. All right, let's keep going. So it goes on to claim on page 19 that when Owens left the Daily Wire, she seized the opportunity to become even more extreme. And it talks about her relaunching her talk show, Candace, on YouTube. It talks about her relationship with Kanye West. It goes on, y'all. They tie her in this lawsuit to the most extreme people in our world. Because they're building, right? In a lawsuit, what they're trying to do is show the judge that there may be reason for them to win this case because of the people Candace has put herself with, the people that she has aligned herself with have also lost defamation cases. So remember what the Bible says, you are the company that you keep. So they're using that concept in this lawsuit. They're saying, look, Your Honor, Candace Owens hangs around with people who have lost multi-million-dollar, almost billion-dollar defamation cases. This is who she aligns herself with. So here is our evidence. Here's what we have quoted her, Your Honor, over and over, 200 plus pages of quoting Candace Owens' own words. She's not going to be able to beat this. At least one thing in this huge lawsuit, they're going to be able to prove she was wrong about. And when they do, she's going to lose. So understand how this works. Can Candace Owens go to prison? No. This is not a criminal trial. This is a civil suit. There's two different things, all right? So Candace Owens can be sued and she can be forced to retract her statement. But she cannot be sent to prison. All right. So I heard somebody mention like, oh my gosh, why did they send her to prison? They can't. All right. This is not like she killed somebody. What they're basically trying to say is that the materials that she quoted as fact were not. Now, here's what I want you to understand. If Candace Owens would have said it like this, you know, there is some evidence that points towards Brigitte Macron possibly, allegedly being a transgender. They could have never sued her. But that isn't what she did. She said, I will bet my entire career that Brigitte Macron is a man. Okay? Right there, it tells me two things. One, she wanted the people who have gone down similar rabbit holes to trust her. She was trying to convince people that she was this sure of herself. So if she, Candace Owens, would bet it all, then you can believe the evidence. And that's what she did. And in the process, some of the stuff she said, they're going to easily be able to prove was incorrect. Now it goes on, guys. I mean, it shows her Twitter feeds. It shows all through here her personal opinions. They're directly quoting her. They are using her own words as the evidence for this case. Now I'm going to go all the way to the end of page 219. I'm going to read the end of this for you because I can tell you right now, either you're smart enough to go look this up and research it yourself, or you've already turned me off because I hurt your feelings because I said Candace Owens and lawsuit in the same sentence. All right. It says, y'all, I'm not joking. There's altogether, these people brought 634 points of context to the judge. 634. That's wild. Most lawsuits have 10, 12, 20, 30, not 634. It goes on. Let's go all the way down to page 215. It says, starting with point 623, the implications are categorically and demonstrably false. President Macron has never lied about Mrs. Macron's identity, lied about his identity or his upbringing, committed incest, or abused state power to cover up such lies. 624. Additionally, the implications are statements of false fact and are reasonably understood as factual assertions that President and Mrs. Macron lied about their identities, committed incest, and abused state power to cover up such lies. 625. The implications are categorically and demonstrably false. President and Mrs. Macron have never lied about their identities, committed incest, or abused state power to cover up such lies. These implications are defamatory, and people who heard them understood them to be defamatory because they hold President and Mrs. Macron up to public hatred, contempt, ridicule, or disgrace, intend to harm President and Mrs. Macron's reputations as to lower them in the estimation of the community or to deter third persons from associating or dealing with them. Now that's important because it says the implications are defamatory per se, P-E-R-S-E. Now, this is important. Listen to me. I'm going to pull it up for you guys real quick because I looked all this up for y'all last night. Defamation per se. Let me find it. Defamation per se means that the statement is obviously defamatory. The court does not have to interpret or study the defamatory statement to know that it would harm the plaintiff. Otherwise, what they're saying is that everything that Candace Owens says was so defamatory that anybody that heard it would go, oh my gosh, like, did you just say that their relationship is incest? Did you just say he married his grandfather? Did you really just say that she is not a she, but a he? So, that's what I'm trying to tell y'all. Like, there's different types of defamation, right? There's two types, actually. The other type, the plaintiff usually needs to provide an explanation as to why the statement is defamatory. It would be me like saying, oh my gosh, Starkey Formstead, she used to not have teeth, but now she does. Ha, ha, ha. And if I wanted to be catty and take someone to court, I would have to explain to the judge how at one time I didn't have teeth and now I do. But with Candace Owens, what she did was they give them the smoking gun, because she claimed everything was fact. She never said allegedly, supposedly, or possibly this is true. She said this is fact. So when they filed against her, they filed against her very harshly. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Now, let's get back to the defamation case, because you guys need to understand, like, you know, we're adults here. We should be able to put aside how we feel and read a lawsuit without exactly. Somebody said wording means everything. And if you read this lawsuit, you'll grow up a little bit and understand how much trouble she's really in. It goes on to say, defendants knew the substantial danger of injury to President and Mrs. Macron and their reputations from the implications, which is readily apparent, and in fact intended to cause injury to the Macrons by making these implications. For the reasons set forth in detail above, defendants made the defamatory implications with actual malice. So earlier, because they probably popped off because they got mad because I didn't, tell them what they wanted to hear. Somebody was saying, well, they have to prove it's with malice. They did. Implications with actual malice, including with actual subjective awareness of their falsity, as evidenced by the fact that defendants A made the implications despite having actual knowledge that they were false. They are actually saying that Candace Owens knew some of the information she was providing to the public was not fact. She knew it, but she still put it out there because they're saying she wanted to make a name for herself, including based on evidence in their possession and available to them that they actually reviewed. So they're saying not only did Candace have evidence that some of the stuff she was telling the public was false, she had it in her possession and she reviewed it. B, relied on sources who were obviously biased against President and Mrs. Macron, and whom defendants knew to be biased against President and Mrs. Macron. So they're saying that her sources had personal issues and personal dislike of the president and the first lady. C, made the implications as part of a preconceived narrative that the president and Mrs. Macron have lied to the public about their identities or upbringing, committed incest, and abused state power to cover it up. Deliberately ignored voluminous evidence in their possession and available to them as detailed above that contradicted the preconceived narrative they wanted to tell about the president and his wife. They made these implications for the purpose of generating and obtaining media attention for themselves and their business, and to enrich themselves at the expense of the truth. refused to retract the implications even after being confronted with additional evidence of their falsity. So what the macrons are saying right now is they asked her to stop, they provided her some evidence, and she pushed harder. Remember what I told you at the beginning of this. Two things are going to happen. She is going to retract some of the stuff she said, maybe not all of it, but some of it. And they're going to win about $20 million from her. All right, so somebody asked, if the mother of four is right about her being a man, then will Candace win? It's not, you guys, this is not a criminal case. It is not win or lose. This is a civil case with points of contention of 630 something. The chances that Candace Owens can prove 634 defamatory statements that she made with actual evidence are about 1 in a million. At some point, they're going to find something that she said that they have direct proof and can disprove, and she's going to have to retract it. So what I'm saying is, this is not about me liking Candace, and I don't care about any of that. I'm talking about the lawsuit, and it is good. This lawsuit was put together by the best attorneys in the world. Defendants had no applicable privilege or legal authorization to publish the implications, and they abused their privilege. As a direct and proximate result of the defendant, that's Candace Owens, false implications, President and Mrs. Macron has suffered substantially economic damages, including among others, loss of future business. See, the Macrons are tied to the chocolate people. They're saying, y'all, this is so bad. The things that Candace Owens said about them is destroying a legacy business. It is affecting multiple people. And they're saying that she was maliciously, willfully, wantonly, with common law malice, with actual malice, with a conscious, reckless, and willful indifference, and a desire to cause injury to them. They are asking for punitive damages that are appropriate. They are also asking for actual, presumed, and punitive damages in amounts to be specified, determined by a trial. Then it goes on to say, this is the very end of the lawsuit, prayer for relief. Wherefore, plaintiffs respectfully request that the court enter judgment in plaintiff's favor and against defendant jointly and severely as follows. Award the Macrons actual and presumed damages to be specified, specifically determined at trial. Award the Macrons punitive and or exemplary damages. Award the Macrons all cost, disbursements, fees, and interest as authorized by law, and such other and additional remedies as the court may deem just and proper. A jury trial is demanded. That's the end of it. All right? All I'm saying is this is bad. I looked into this. What is going on in Delaware? Delaware doesn't have a cap on defamation lawsuits. So what does that mean, Sam? That means that they could take her for every penny she's worth. They could sue her for more than she's worth, and she'll spend the rest of her life paying it back. All it's going to take is for Brigitte Macron and her brother. Remember, because Candace Owens claimed that Brigitte Macron is not a real person, that the brother, the male, actually became Brigitte. And then they stole somebody's identity. All it's going to take is for Brigitte and her brother, who is named in this lawsuit, to walk into that courtroom together. All it's going to take is for them to DNA test Brigitte Macron with her 4 children or her 3 children. And if there is a maternal link DNA linked to those children, Candace Owens is cooked. She's screwed. That's all it's going to take. That is all it's going to take. That is how easy it's going to be for them to beat her. And folks, they asked for a jury trial. They don't want a judge. You know why? Because people be like, oh, they bought the judge. They bought that judge. Because people like Candace, I get it. But they like her to the point that they're not going to be able to willing to separate their feelings from the facts. They're going to sink with her. Like they would lose everything they have with her because they think she loves them, right? So what's going to happen is they're going to go in that courtroom with the best attorneys in the world, with a jury and a judge. And they're going to bring proof that Brigitte Macron, whatever her last name, is a real person, that the brother that Candace kept claiming she really was is going to walk in there with her. She's going to bring her biological children, and she's going to bring stuff that is going to be indisputable. And she's going to hand it to a bunch of American jury members. And then those people are going to be like, dang, Owen, you screwed up. And two things are going to happen. Candace Owens is going to retract all, if not all, most of what she has said about these people. And she's going to pay them millions of dollars. Anna, nobody is debating that. Stop. Y'all, grow up. Somebody goes, sorry, Brigitte was his teacher and he was 15. I'm not even talking about that. Separate what you think is real and then look at the lawsuit. I was a school teacher and my children have been molested. So anybody in the world that's going to be against that is going to be me. But I'm not discussing that, Anna. I'm discussing the fact that the things that Candace Owens said about the macrons, she can't back up her mouth. My daddy used to say, pumpkin, be careful that your mouth doesn't overload your ASS. And in this case, I think she might have overloaded it. Because she says that the people in France, the two journalists, I'll let you hear what she says herself because it's just easier. It's just easier. Let me see if this is the right one.
So let's roll it.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
That's why you're here. That's why you're here. That's how I feel right now. Me receiving my papers today. By the way, another lovely individual who delivered those papers to me. I really got to say, Tennessee, we are absolutely crushing it. The people that deliver the papers are just fantastic. They're so kind. They're always fans of mine. Anyways, I am floored. Are you floored? Because this is just goofy. You are officially a very goofy man, Brigitte. But I got to give it to you. You've definitely got balls. Fire everybody around you, and I mean literally everyone around you who told you that this was a good idea, that this was a very good idea for you to be the first sitting first lady of a country to file a lawsuit against a journalist of another country. You are literally making history in all the wrong ways. And I want to be very clear here right at the top that this is obvious, very clear that it is an obvious and desperate public relations strategy. That's what this is. Where do we even begin? Okay, so let's rewind this. In case you're new here, a few weeks ago, Brigitte finally lost her defamation claim against two journalists, which was taking place for years, by the way, over in France. It was the most viral story worldwide. Everyone's going, okay, obviously something is here. She's been clinging to this defamation.
But she did it. So I don't know why Candace Owens just said that. She did not lose. She did not lose. Mm-mm. She did not lose. Brigitte Macron did not lose that defamation thing. It says 2 women were found guilty in Paris of libel on Thursday in order to pay thousands of euros in damages after spreading a fake transphobic rumor that the French First Lady Brigitte Macron was born a man and is living a transgender woman. The duo, a self-described independent journalist and the host of a YouTube channel, allegedly, without proof, in a 2021 video posted to the platform that Macron had been born as Jean-Michel Truanneau and had later changed her name and gender. Truanneau, who is actually Macron's brother, participated in the trial. So these people claim that Brigitte was actually born the boy and then changed her name. But when the trial came, both Brigitte and Jean-Michel walked in together. Hello? It says the Paris prosecutor's office said in a written statement to Politico that the 2 defendants have been fined 500 euros in order to pay 8,000 to Macron. Okay, so it was also in the lawsuit that they filed against Candace Owens, yet she got on her channel and told the world that they lost the lawsuit. Why did she do that? Because people don't research. Because y'all believe whatever anybody tells you. If you like the person, you believe everything out of their mouth. I'm just saying. That's why a lot of people don't like me. Because I'm not going to curb my tongue. I'm just not going to do it. It's not a popularity contest, folks. Let me tell you something. If everything Candace Owens said is true, she still may lose this defamation lawsuit because she can't prove what she said. Now, what you're going to say, but she can, Samantha. She's got photos and she's got people saying things, but that's not actual proof in a court of law, friends and family. Now, in a civil suit, your burden of proof is much lowered. In a criminal suit, it has to be actual physical evidence. Otherwise, they label it circumstantial evidence. I sure hope and I pray, I really do, that the Lord shows this video to people who understand the knowledge that I'm giving you right now. I really do pray that this falls into the lap of people who are like, dang, that girl knows what she's talking about. She just covered civil. She just covered defamation. She just covered burden of proof. She just covered evidence. So many of you are like, it's just going over your head because you can't get past the fact that I said Candace Owens might get sued. Oh, here we go. Here's one for y'all. Well, we'll see, Sam. I don't understand this program. You're so condescending on this show. I'm thinking you are as guilty as you say Candace is implicated to be. I'm not guilty of anything. I never spread those rumors. Whether or not it's true, I can't prove that Brigitte Macron is a man. I can't. I don't have a DNA test. Not this girl. Like, use your brain. For real. Folks. It's a great story. I get it. I understand why people listened to it because it is very interesting. And there are bits and pieces of truth, especially when you start talking about the Rothschilds, right? You start talking about the sex crimes, about the incest, about the child sex trafficking. Absolutely. Especially when you go to the highest levels, right? A lot of that is true. But you cannot, people, go after somebody that is a president of a Western nation and your main source of information is coming from 2 independent journalist, one, I might add, believes that she is a spiritual medium. So the two women that Candace Owens was relying on for information, one of them believes that they are a spiritual medium.
Is obvious, very clear that it is an obvious and desperate public relations strategy. That's what this is. Okay, so let's rewind this. In case you're new here, a few weeks ago, Brigitte finally lost her defamation claim against two journalists, which was taking place for years, by the way, over in France. It was the most viral story worldwide. Everyone's going, okay, obviously something is here. She's been clinging to this defamation claim, saying, oh, I'm suing them for defamation. This is not true. And Brigitte's world, therefore, came crashing down because that was her only effective PR strategy. That was the only thing that they used to dissuade the rumors that she was born a man. It was an absolute farce of a lawsuit, which relied upon the public not knowing the details of the lawsuit at all. In short, the lawsuit was not about whether or not she was born a man. Okay, that's not the claims of defamation that she was bringing against them, but rather it was very particular, and it was about whether or not Natasha Ray and Amandine Roy misspoke when Natasha said that a document that they had received throughout their investigation appeared to her to be fraudulent. I mean, they were getting really petty. She basically was.
Okay, so let me make a point here. I read your comments over here. A court did overturn, but she tells you that Brigitte lost her she didn't. She won, then a higher court overturned it, and now they've appealed. Brigitte has appealed it to the higher court. That happens in America all the time, but she originally won. I just showed you that article. So don't go there. Don't say, no, Brigitte lost. No, she didn't. She won, overturned, went up to a higher court. Okay? So that's not losing, folks. Now, something that Candace Owens just said, it was never about her being a man, right? Being transgender. Let me make 2 points to you. In the lawsuit against Candace, they specifically bring out the fact that she accused them of incest and transgenderism. So whether or not they went after the first people like that or not, they did with Candace. They went all the way with Candace. I highly recommend that you read the lawsuit. Read it for yourself before you come on and you start trying to say, you know, because Candace told you. Stop. Go look at the evidence. That's funny, Leslie, that you had to time out Sherry Ford after she told me that I was condescending. I'm condescending, but you had to block what she said, which tells me that, again, just somebody cannot think for themselves. I don't care who you like, folks. You know what I'm saying? I don't care if you like her or you don't, or you believe her or you don't. It's not about that. It's about the type of lawsuit that was filed against her and how this is really going to affect her financially. Because the people that are in Candace's boat, they're going to go down with her. At least 75% of them, because they're cultish in the way that they think. She is their darling. They look at her like she's their kid. I even had somebody in comments say, can't you talk about her like she's your daughter? So you can, that's how they see her. She's like my baby. So I'm not that kind of person. Sorry. Sorry. What you want from me? I am me, and I'm going to do it my way. I'm just going to give you the facts. I don't care how you feel about them. The second thing is, I'm telling y'all, the macrons are going after Candace the person, Candace the LLC, and Candace Inc., basically. Thank you, Nomad. I really appreciate that. It's like I said, I don't want anything bad to happen to Candace Owens. I just think that some of the things that she said, she had no actual proof. And when I say proof, I'm talking about it's going to stand up in court. Remember when I told you guys, like, I think that the snow that they dumped may have toxins. I put it in my microwave. It literally, like, almost blew my microwave up, and the microwave quit working a week later. That was me. That was an opinion. That was an observation. In court, it would have been circumstantial evidence. But then we tested the snow, and the snow came back with high levels of zinc. That's evidence. That, my friend, is a difference between circumstantial and proof. It would be so very easy, and it is going to be so very easy for the macrons to lay out enough inconsistencies in the hundreds of hours of Candace Owens spewing this information about them, for them to get money out of her. It's not a win or lose with defamation. There's 600 and something points of contention. In other words, she's going to have to come in with proof on every one of those 600 points that they made that they're saying she defamed them on. 600. Good God Almighty. It's going to cost her $1 million plus in attorney fees just to defend herself against this lawsuit. Chances are they're going to settle outside of court. Right now, she's basically bluffing because she's terrified, and she should be. If she would have simply said, allegedly, Bridget Macron allegedly is a transgender, they would have never been able to bring this lawsuit against her. But her own mouth sunk her ship. She said, I'm gonna back it up. I'd bet everything. And she has. There's a part in the Bible where God tells you, do not bear false witness against someone. You can believe something about somebody and not spread it because you can't prove it. I have my opinions about a lot of people and a lot of situations that I never talk about here because I don't have physical proof. And so because I can't physically prove it, it would be malicious gossip. It would be bearing false witness because I can't 100% prove it. There were angels that were thrown out of heaven. It's one of the reasons Satan was kicked out of heaven, was bearing false witness. Oh my gosh, y'all having to time out people left and right. God, y'all grow up. This is not a smear campaign on Candace. Grow up. This is just showing you the court case and everything else. If y'all can't hear this, y'all are in for some serious bad times ahead, friends. This is what they're saying in France.
Lady used to be a man. The complaint filed in Delaware says Candace Owens has waged a live-field campaign of global humiliation to promote her podcast and expand her frenzied fan base. On Wednesday, Owens said the lawsuit was littered with factual inaccuracies. Well, for more on this, we can bring in our international affairs editor, Douglas Herbert. Doug, tell us then, who is Candace Owens?
She is, as you said, an influencer with millions of followers on her widely listened to and watched YouTube channel. She also has millions of followers on Fox. Now, she would consider herself a conservative influencer. The terms that others often use to describe her are far-right and ultra-right. And the reason that those terms have been used with her is because her views have tended to align with more radical right views. She has been a fierce critic of Black Lives Matter. She has also expressed real skepticism about the impact of white supremacy in American society. She's been critical of President Donald Trump in the past, but her overall relationship with him is one of perhaps empathy or sympathy. And she's also someone who has been a darling at times of Fox News, the right-wing I would say propaganda news channel in the United States. And early on, she was on the conspiracy-linked websites such as InfoWars. Now, InfoWars is something she's distanced herself in years since from those types of websites. And
God, I hate when they group us all together like that.
Can be both informative and funny at the same time.
There hasn't been very many funny things.
There's one more thing I want to show y'all, and then I'm going to get off, take a break. We're going to jump into the next video I'm going to do for y'all after I take a break is going to be on gang stalking in the CIA and all the children missing. All right. We're going to deep dive that today, but I want you to hear this.
Stories, etc. Again, I can't say I know. I can come to an assumption, but assumption is not the same thing as knowing. And unfortunately, there is a connection, and these psychologists would understand this. There's a connection between the conspiracy theorist, not just you believe in a couple conspiracies, whatever, the person who believes they know every hidden truth, etc., and narcissism. That's why I know it's very dangerous territory. When I say I know all things, I don't. I'm wrong like anybody else. Sometimes I'm all the way off the marker. But if I say I know all things and this is the hidden secret, whatever, there are narcissistic tendencies within that belief system. And so, again, when you have somebody like Candace, who she's dogged about it, she latches onto it and she goes full head of steam, I don't think she actually considers that we live in a real world where people will actually sue your ass. They will wipe you out for everything you have. DJT right now, President Trump has a multi-billion-dollar suit on the Wall Street Journal for creating an entire fabricated story about him and Jeffrey. The whole thing is a lie. And guess what? These so-called, truth tellers, conspiracy theorists they ran with that story already. They might y'all might be a part of that billion-dollar suit. Y'all might have signed up for the same thing. Again, I stay out of that territory until I know that's what's actually going on. I think Israel should sue every single media company that has been lying about them causing a genocide. Because lo and behold, we have New York Times coming out with an article yesterday. There might not actually be a genocide. Actually, technically, there really isn't a genocide in Israel. Well, you're about a year and a half too late, and the blood is already on your hands. So they came out with the stories.
And that's why a lot of times you guys are like, Sam, cover this topic, Sam. And I'm like, heck to the no. I wait on God. All right. I wait on God. Again, I'm not saying that any part of what Candace said about the macrons is true or untrue. Nope. Do not put words in my mouth. I did not talk about her relationship with him when he was a child nope. I talked about the lawsuit. This is not going to be an easy lawsuit. It is going to be millions of dollars. It's going to cost her to just begin to fight it in front of a jury in Delaware where there's no cap. She's worth about $6 million in cash. Her husband is worth way more than that. They have decided to sue her companies, all of it, on 600 plus points of contention. So chances are, at least one of those, she's not going to be able to back up. Like I said, this is not criminal court. It is not win or lose. It is civil court. And the attorneys that filed this suit against Candace are the best in the world. If you'd like to support the work we do here, YouTube does not pay us. You can look in the top of comments, send whatever you can. If you do that, you will get our newsletter monthly, and you will be invited to our Zoom tomorrow, the 26th at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. Love you guys so much. Be blessed. I'll see y'all back in about 20 minutes. Let me take a break, and I'll be back for those missing kids.